Hello guys and welcome to Front Row Racing. I'm coming to get you, and joining me in the comms box this evening is Curly Whirly 7. How are you doing, Curly?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit disappointed from last night's performance. However, we'll see what happens as we go along today. Sorry about delaying the broadcast, guys. Trying to skip through the intro due to the copyright. But we are here in Spa this evening, and we have got the reserves with us this evening. So, Curly Willy, last night with the bugs and problems, what are you expecting to see tonight? Maybe some rain?
Ooh, that would be a bit of a curveball, wouldn't it? I'm just hoping to see a race with fewer bugs, to be honest. Less ghosting, less random cars, and yeah, I mean, we're here at a beautiful track. I think this is a bit of a fan favorite, so hopefully we'll have something good. Got a good grid of drivers tonight as well, so we should have some battles up and down the field.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The lineup seems quite tough, quite fair. Few reserves, few new ones. Be interesting. We'll point them out as we go. So yeah, new start, new season, new game, kind of new era. You might agree with the aero development and tyres. Be interesting. But last night, how did you get on personally? What's your big grind with this game?
Mostly just the bugs and the glitches. I mean, I've really been enjoying the handling model and the improvements they've made there. I play on the pads, so we've had several changes from F1 2016 that makes things better for us. I know that you've switched to the wheel and the brake, but yeah, I mean, the handling model has been great, but it's just every patch comes out, you know, they sort of fix two problems and create three more, right? So yeah, I mean, this patch was meant to be the one that was pretty much taking us to a raceable point, and we saw from the race last night there were various issues. So yeah, it's less so the actual driving I have a problem with. That's been very enjoyable the whole way through.
No, I'd agree with that. I've had a little go myself and whatnot. The handling model, I mean, the differences between 2016 and 17, it's hard to tell for myself. You might be able to give some of our viewers an idea and go along with that, because I've gone from pad to wheel, as you said, so I can't feel the differences. It's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, I can only say from a pad perspective, there were some things in F1 2016 that made it pretty tough at certain tracks as well for pad users. You could say the change of direction. Changing from full lock left to right or right to left was very slow in that game. There's a huge input lag. And that has been greatly reduced on this game. So yeah, we're not getting slaughtered through chicane so much. As well, I mean, with the handling model, the traction and braking on this game is considerably easier than what it was in F1 2016. In particular, the traction is, you know, you can just be so aggressive on the throttle. So that's one of the main changes. As well, you would say with the gearing, you generally need at least one higher gear through the corners, and on F1 2016 we saw, particularly in the second half of the game, people starting to short shift a lot. Those users running with either no traction control or medium traction control were doing a lot of short shifting just to try and keep the car under control. And that's less of a thing on this game. They've really kind of nerfed that, so that's good to see.
Yeah, like in the description there, fancy a comms job. Moving on. No, I 100% agree with you there. I mean, it's fantastic, and I'm just annoyed and so annoyed with the bugs, problems, etc. But Codemasters for you. Hopefully they get it right on the 8th, 9th, 10th time, and we can go racing at some point. Just want to point out though, there, Curly Willy, I was watching old Farfa. As we all know, the owner, good guy, boss, behave Dave. He's running no assists this evening, and I'm noticing he's not actually too shabby. I don't know if you want to have a jump on board with him and see what you make of this.
Yeah, I've just hopped on board. He's on the soft compound, which is actually the hardest tire that they've brought to Spa this year. Big moment there at the top of your rouge. Yeah, I think you had a bit of a commentator's curse. But I think for a lot of drivers starting on this game with the no assist, they've, you know, maybe given a shot on F1 2016 and you know, I've tried it again here and actually find that they're finding it a lot easier. You know, like I said, with the traction, it's a much more comfortable thing. I mean, this game running with no traction is almost like it was with medium on the last one. So I think quite a lot of drivers will see moving more towards the championship side of things. But yeah, it's also another thing, you can see he's on the soft compound tires here. You can actually bring,
Whoa!
he's had a big moment, too much curve there, he's lost half of his front wing. So not going entirely well for Farthborough at the moment, but
Red Bull.
yeah, one of the things you can do in qualifying now is you can bring all 3 tire compounds with you into the qualifying session, whereas on F1 2016 you could only bring the 2 softer sets. So that might give a little bit of sort of strategy difference. We might see somebody use that at some point this season, especially at the tracks with slightly higher tire wear.
Yeah, it's a good point there. I mean, although what we see to reality of the game, the differences can be a bit extremes at times, because they seem to be doing one stops near enough hunky-dory everywhere else, and less the strategy's faster, as we've all seen with the reality of Formula 1. So I don't know, tyre choice here though. I mean, Ultras, I don't know if you've been around here, Curly Willy, but I've been around here a few times. I've noticed in a race, especially a 50, you'll be lucky to get 3-4 good flying laps out of it. Whoa, McLaren gone. I don't know about you, so people going for the Ultras today, wow, it'd be an interesting strategy there. So
yeah, I think if you're looking to qualify on the Ultras, the 2-stop is probably what you're looking at. Although, depends. I mean, if you're very good on your tires, you could probably just stretch out the Ultras and then head straight to a set of softs. I've always found Spa to be one of the tracks where there's a lot of time to gain on the softer compounds of tires, and in the past it was quite an easy 1-stop, but on this game I feel like the 2-stop is actually more viable now than perhaps it was, even with the higher degrading tires, simply because the faster compounds keep their speed better through the stint. With these ultra softs, I mean, you can keep up a good pace for 5-6 laps, whereas if you're playing an F1 2016, you've maybe got 2 good laps out of them before they really fall off. So yeah, I think we'll probably see a mix of strategies, particularly those ones starting outside the top 10, starting on the harder compounds of tires. We'll probably be looking to 1-stop this, but those who are up at the front might be better off going for it too.
as a competitor up against you there, Curly Willy, as you were talking, I had a notepad and pen out just making notes, so yeah. Thanks for that, buddy. No, but it's great to see. I mean, information like that can help these reserve drivers that we're mainly here focused on, but it is a test session, so we're having those about with everyone. To see what's what and help them along the way, and little pointers like that go a long way. So moving on to your aero, Curly, what was that again?
You're going to be dusting this notepad off in about 4 months, yeah?
When it's needed, it'll come handy.
Yeah, this is an interesting track in terms of aero. Obviously, you have 2 massive straights, but also that middle sector is, you want a little bit of wing for that middle sector. There's a lot of time to be gained there. So this is one of the tracks where you can really go different ways in terms of your setup. I think most people lean towards running a lower wing, simply because the straights here are so long. But with how things are in this game, it's much harder to overtake than what it was in F1 2016. I mean, F1 2016, it was incredibly easy to pull off overtakes and just to work your way through the field. Whereas on F1 2017, getting the overtakes done is difficult. There's much more of a dirty air effect. The slipstream is not as powerful. The DRS doesn't feel as powerful either. So qualifying is, I would say, more important on this game, getting yourself at the front and getting good track position. So I think that we may see more people lean towards using a higher sort of wing setup and aiming simply for that qualifying time rather than a race setup.
Yeah, I'd agree with that after experiences I've had. And like you, I'm not going to say too much. I don't want to give too much away. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But no, what you're saying there is right, because you go for the higher aero. Yeah, you definitely get track position harder to overtake. But the problem is, once the guy with the lower aero gets past, he's difficult to catch. So it's I don't know. I don't know myself. See what happens in the next patch though. I hope handling models and setups don't change, which have happened in the past, which we all know. So hopefully things can stay as they are, a bit more entertaining. And one thing I've been finding though, Curly, well, it's a lot more harder to fine tune your setup with springs, anti-rolls, because people think one setup works everywhere. But it's more about how comfortable you are with the car this year, isn't it?
Yeah, the setup differences between the tracks is a lot more. I mean, on the last game, you could run very similar setups. You changed, a couple things, but half your setup would stay the same from track to track. Whereas on this game, it's very different. I would always say that the ballast is the best sort of indicator of that. On F1 2016, you would run 11 ballast at every single circuit. Whereas on this game, you're running much more towards the middle. It seems to have a much bigger impact on the handling of the car, but you're running it different in different places. And that goes as well for a lot of the rest of the setup. So I think there's a lot of time to be gained there, and also a lot of time in the race. It's easy enough just nicking someone's setup off time trial, but a lot of the time you do that, and then you get into the race and you realize that you're demolishing your tires. So I think, especially through the first sort of half of this season, the drivers are going to need to put in a lot of setup work and finding what actually works for them and what works for the individual circuits.
Exactly that. And talking setups, I've just been monitoring our man with the footage, RDB, and I think it might have been turn 6 there, might be wrong, turn 6, 7. He's just lost it on the downhill right-hander, and Scooby-Doo went away, no grip on the rear. So that's one thing I am finding interesting with these cars. At slow speeds, they are tentative. It's like, to me, I don't know about you, Curly, 2016 was more, they were solid in the corners, you knew what they were going to do. At high speed, they were a bit, you were unsure at times. Whereas this game, to me, high speeds, guide it in nicely, you've always got control. Just don't be over aggressive with the steering. Whereas in the slower corners this time around, the car seems to always just want to bite away from you in real. You've really got to be careful mid-corner this game.
I think as well with this game, when you start to lose the car, it's harder to catch it. Once the rear of the car starts to step out, it becomes much more difficult to actually to catch that. Compared to F1 2016, you would lose the rear more often, I would say, on that game, but it was quite easy to correct for it. Whereas now, it starts to slide, and then the slide just keeps getting worse and worse. And yeah, I hear what you're saying in terms of the cornering. I think the difficulty has been moved from some areas and into others. The traction on this game is easier, but I would say the gearing is more difficult. You can't just spam down the gears like you used to, and if you do end up in too low of a gear, the rear of the car is just going to throw out. It's not going to have it. So yeah, I've had that a lot of times where maybe you accidentally go down one gear too many, and the rear of the car will just completely snap on you, and before you know it, you're in a wall.
Exactly that. That's very true. As you were saying, you see people come down the gears. Wow, let's be honest. If we come down the gears like that in any car, the gearbox would just go on us. If we're quite frank with it. I wish Coat will vary with it. I suppose it is on the sim damage, but some of the drivers don't like it. Moving on. But yeah, in that mid-speed corners you're on about, like the car goes light, and say you're in fourth and it's a fourth gear corner, but going off 2016, you'd naturally want to be in third gear, and you do it, and the car goes, no, I don't want it. It doesn't matter how big those tyres on the back. What's coming through the off-throttle diff with the torque and pressure, it's a nightmare in these cars when you get it wrong. So I think it'd be interesting. One guy I want to keep an eye on with that is Paul Farfber this evening, the owner. He's running no assist, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if it's first time doing it or whatnot, if he's true to his word. I did say we'd keep the camera on him a little bit. So might see a few donuts tonight, guys, from the owner. But yeah.
You sure you want to keep your job coming to get you?
Mate, if I'm not doing a very good job, am I? Let's be honest. But moving on. Yeah, qualifying looks like it's coming to an end, guys. It's not the normal flick. We can flick through the cars as they cross the line now. Willow Wolves, gone back to him now. I believe he might be, is he the last driver on track? Yep, so we're following him all the way up to the line. Just watching the clock go down, but most importantly, waiting for Willow to get a shift on and cross the line. As you can see, cars, speed difference, Curly, what are we talking? 20-30 miles an hour difference coming up to this heavy braking point for the old bus stop chicane. I don't know about you.
It's just going to pull into the pits.
Yeah, but that bus stop chicane, I mean, braking zones last season, we were talking 100, 110, some people pushing it, depending on their brake pressure.
Maybe even further than that, to be honest, about 115, 120 I think last year, whereas this year it's about 100 meters, maybe less.
Yeah, I believe I've seen someone hit about 80, 70 meters and it scared the hell out of me. But Give us 2 seconds, I'll run through the order quickly. We have Valdemar on Ultra Softs in pole, Simo Dude, reserve driver in second, Certec Calatepe in third, Bereavement fourth, Lord JB fifth, Willow Wolf sixth, RDB seventh, Con Reese eighth, Irma Auto ninth, Onken Uzi, apologies for that wrong, 10th, Gonzo 11th, DBS Jade Rhinos 12th, and Farfbert 13th. Apologies if I missed you off the list there. Me and Curly were too busy talking.
I think it was W Butler and Calzo as the final 2 spots. They didn't set a time.
Superb. Thank you very much there, Curly.
Make sure you skip this intro as well.
Yeah, I hope I just got enough. I forgot there was a second one, I swear to God. Do you know what? Here's a funny bit of information for you, Curly, while we wait for the guys to get going. There is no formation app. There's 2 intros. I only had to remove the first one, not the second one.
That's good to know.
So that was
Get
interesting.
that noted down as well, next to my setup.
Yeah. I like the thinking. Anyway, Curly Whirly, what I'm going to do, mate, is once they let me pick a car, I'm going to jump on board and let you take us through the start.
Okay. Oh, we got no formation lap as well. On board with Valdemar, 5 lights. Lights out, and away we go here in Spa. It's a great start for Valdemar off the front of the grid. The 2 Toro Rosses, we already got McLaren Honda in the wall. There's chaos down at the back of the grid. We got cars running wide off here at turn 1 at La Source. Valdemar has just, he's pieced out. He's gone already. He's halfway up a Rouge.
Looking interesting crowd at the back there. We got Bereavement was the McLaren that's unfortunately dropped out, but I've jumped on board with Simo Dude here, who's got a Ferrari Haas all battling. Who's that in the background? I believe that to be Willow
Yes,
Wolf.
RDB making a move on the Ferrari down the inside into the Lacombe chicane, and he is actually going to get him on the brakes. It's a beautiful move from RDB there. And that was on Willow Wolves, who's in the Ferrari.
In the background we had a Red Bull and Force India coming together there. We'll check who that is later because they will be floating around the back. McLaren and Mercedes, and the McLaren and the Ferrari into the corner. It's all kicking off. Curly Whirly, last night I said a comment. Have we let the drivers out of the cage too early?
I think it might have been too late. I think they've been in there for too long, to be honest. Well, just raring to go, really. Yeah, we had a pretty messy race, I think, off the start last night as well. Lots of incidents here on the first lap, and I think one thing that the drivers will quickly realize on this game is if you get any sort of front wing damage, you need to pit and get that changed because you lose such a massive amount of time just from even what seems like the slightest amount of damage. And you've also got to make sure that you set your pit team to yes rather than auto, because auto will only change it if the front wing is red. So if it's orange or yellow, you've got to do it yourself. That's the mistake I've made so far.
Well, thanks for actually giving that tip out. I didn't know, so I'll remember that. I genuinely did not know that. I remember having a race, kept it on auto, didn't change my front wing on orange. I'll keep that in mind. But here's a little pointer out. I don't know if you're on board with Curly Willy. I'm watching, gentlemen, new guy to this season, apologies, Simbo Dude. And he's got Valdemar, Valdemar in front of him. One of the drivers we do know something about who's very, very quick, and this reserve driver behind him, Simbo Dude, is keeping him company. Yeah,
2 Toro Rosses up here at the front. Valdemar, one of the regular front runners in the World Series, quite often on the front row after qualifying. And Simbo Dude, he's just keeping him pretty honest at the moment. These 2 Toro Rossos have pulled off a pretty big gap back to RDB, who's in 3rd place. They're really pulling away, so we might begin to see a little bit of a 2-horse fight for the win here. But yeah, if you're coming in and you're keeping up with the likes of Valdemar, you're doing very well.
Valdemar wide, whoa, very wide. Opportunity possibly coming out. Not one of these corners you want to even attempt or even dream of thinking attacking the driver into now. It is basically flat, maybe a slight lift. So possible
bit
move.
of a lift in the race, especially with the fuel, but no, you do not want to be going too wide into there, not at all.
No, this is one thing I've noticed again. I don't know if he's
running wide.
Is this what we were talking about with the old tyres coming into play now, where it's ultra softs? They've just got what, lap 2 coming up to the end of lap 2, life running out.
I think they'll have a little bit of life in them. I think it'll more be the fuel compared to qualifying. I think Simbo Dude's actually going to line up a bit of a move here. Down to this bus stop chicane, he's just a little bit too far back, and this is something we're going to see, well, in these test sessions, but also in the regular races once we actually get to the season, is that overtaking is incredibly difficult on this game. If somebody is in front of you and they don't want you getting past, you're going to have a very hard time, which is going to be a bit of a wake-up call from last season, where it was, you know, I mean, you basically just got within a second of someone, pressed your DRS button and you were past them.
I agree with that 100%. We're going to see what the drivers have got this season, and I don't know if you, ladies and gentlemen, watching this evening have seen Front Row Racing's page on Facebook. That's where you can find us. The driver lineup
with RDB and P4. He's just lining up a move on Certek Karatepe. I think Karatepe got past him on the previous lap, and now RDB has got him back on the straight. And yeah, RDB looks as if he's got a pretty low downforce setup there. Certek coming back at him, and RDB has lost the rear of the car, and that's cost him 2 more places. Willow Wolves and Calzo just picking up the scraps there, free positions. But yeah, it looks like RDB is running some very low wings here. He really blasted past Karatepe on that straight.
I would agree with that. We caught the end of that. That's I had a quick thought pop in my head. Then you can describe Codemasters with that: 1 step forward, 3 steps back. But anyway, that was a lovely move by RDB. It's a shame it went horribly wrong. But as we spoke about through qualifying, it's just those slow speed corners load that. Whoa! RDB taking avoiding action there, nicely done. But yeah, those slow speed corners and touching the curb or slightly running wide on this game. It's one of those ones where you want to get the maximum, but those curbs are lethal on this game, aren't they?
Yeah, they can be. Calzo shaping up a move here on Willow Wolves, and he's actually gotten past him in the, well, just at the end of the middle sector there. That's a fairly opportunistic move, and he's making his way up towards the front. We obviously know Calzo pretty well from last season in the World Series, so he'll be looking to get after these front runners. Certainly Karatepe locking up massively into the bus stop chicane there.
Yeah, there's one thing I would like to point out about Calzo. His teammate this year, Curly Wurly, is
his brother Konzo, and that'll be pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, I could see a lot of fights happening in that household, so that'd be interesting. Obviously, I don't want to be a fly on the wall when it all goes wrong for one of them, and the other one's the cause of it. But
yeah,
that
speaking of Konzo, he's just in the pits for a front wing change from P7. And he's put on the ultra soft tires.
Ultra soft, interesting. That's an interesting call. But again, it is a test session, so you know, who knows what the driver's trying, seeing what's what for Spa, which will be on the calendar later on in the season, if or when we get going. But I've just jumped up back to the front, Curly, and he's not letting him go. Simbo dude
not
is
at all
staying, and I'm impressed. I mean, Valdemore's the one running wide, finding troubles on the tyres.
Oh, Simbo having a big moment there. He's going to be able to keep it out of the wall. Not quite. Oh, just that inside curb there at Puon. You cannot touch that curb. It is absolutely lethal. You just get one little touch on that and the car will go. So that's something for people to look out for at this track. But that was an incredible save. That was almost going to be a sort of race-ending crash. But he did end up in a wall, but avoided most of the damage. And Calzo here is just picking up the pieces. He's already made his way past Certek Karatepe somewhere on the last lap, and he's now up into P2. He won the race last night, so he'll be looking for 2 in a row.
Oh yes, and I think Certek, running wide, possible front wing there. I don't know if you've...
Yeah, I think so.
It's really bad on
like
this game. If you any damage at all, the car's needing it, of course, as these guys jump into the pits. You've got to come and change your wing, Curly, or forget it. But on board with him, I'm not actually seeing any damage. Maybe he just overheated the tyres. I don't know if you've picked up on that with the old game, Curly. Have an incident, tyres overheat. You've got to give him a few corners to come back to you.
Yeah, you've really got to look for those tire temperatures on your MFD and just make sure that you're not pushing too hard, and especially once you've had an off, when you've had a spin, then yeah, it's very difficult to drive with the tires like that. And there was a front wing change for Slimbo Dude there, so definitely some damage. And he's pulling back out just behind, that is Konzo, I think, and the other Sauber. Yeah, just out behind Konzo, and they are both, I think, on the... Nope, Slimbo's on the Super Soft and Konzo's on the Ultra Soft, so we'll see if he's able to stick with him.
Yep, I've just jumped on board with him. Konzo didn't qualify, did he?
No.
No, so I'm going to stick with this battle a minute, because Konzo, being one of our World Series drivers, I want to see how far these tyres go, you know. But yeah, just having a
Yeah,
nose.
World Series champion. He pitted on lap 3, I think, for these tires. He had front wing damage as well off the start. He started on the softs, but had to get a wing change and came back out on the ultra. So he'll have at least one more stop to make. I think everybody that's pitted so far will have one more stop to make.
I'd agree with that. Well, one stops. I don't know about you, but one stops are possible pretty much everywhere. It depends on what you like with your tyres you set up. Debatable on what's kind of quicker depending on the track you're at. I suppose it's all about how long the pit lane is really this season.
Yeah, how long the pit lane is, and obviously the level of tyre wear as well. I'd say for the tracks with the softer compounds of tyres, actually, doing an extra stop can be more viable. Whereas for whatever race with the tracks with the harder compounds, the one stop does seem to be quicker. Although we'll see how that progresses through the season. We had an interesting race in Spain last night between one stops and two stops. Looked fairly similar on pace around there, so that is a pretty high tyre wear track though. As Conzo sets the fastest lap of the race, 47.4. It's a very good time.
They're all starting to fly now, and I've just jumped on board with Valdemar, who's come out from taking a set of Ultra Softs off his car and putting a set of softs on, so possible one stop here. It could be interesting to keep an eye on his progress.
16, 17 laps on a set of softs, that's a long way to go. I'm not sure about that one. Yeah, I'll be amazed if he gets the softs the ends from here, but it might be worth a try.
Yeah, that's why I got the notepad out, Curly Willy. I'm taking notes, might be doing the old comms, but you know.
This is all practice.
Exactly. Yeah, let me get my words out here. What's this? Urkanuzi, I believe. I could be wrong there. I will get the
pronunciation.
And there we go, Okankuzi. Thank you very much, Curly Willy. He's under a little bit of pressure here from, I believe they know each other, fellow friends, Surtek Kalatepe, who's a permanent driver, running very, very wide there through Porn. See how he handles himself up against the permanent driver, so interesting. But I believe behind this, why I'm sticking with the battle, we've got Conzo trying to come through this traffic, fighting for position.
Yeah, getting a bit of a train forming here behind Okankuzi, who has yet to pit. We've also got Slimbo Dude just coming up to join the back of this, so it'll be interesting to see if these drivers will be able to get through. Surtek looking very quick on the straight. Actually, we might well see a move down into the bus stop chicane here on Okankuzi. Gonna move to the insides. Ooh, Okankuzi's very, very late on the brakes there. Considering I don't think he's stopped yet, that's extremely late braking for a set of fairly worn softs at this point. Surtek's still well within that DRS range. He's just going to wait, I think, until the Camel Straight, and that will be the best opportunity for overtaking on this track. Traction out of La Source is crucial. That's that traction, you carry that speed all the way along this, well, up through Rouge and then all the way along the Camel Straight. It's about 25 seconds at full throttle, and Surtek is in the DRS. He's right behind Okankuzi. He's gaining a little bit, still gaining. He's going to pull alongside. He should be able to get the move done here. He's later on the brakes on those fresher tires, and he has gotten the move done. So that's a nice clean overtake, nice and patient driving from Surtek there, not going for a sort of Hail Mary move at the bus stop, but just waiting until he's got that easier opportunity at the Lacombe chicane and just going for it there.
Yeah, that's great stuff there as well, Curly Willy. I like that. It's just flowing off the tongue, mate. Just flowing off the tongue. We did notice though, Okankuzi, he had a little moment in the background. Bless him. Just touched the grass on the exit of, I believe, is it turn 5, turn 6? And yeah, these tyres get any bit of dirt, rubbish, gravel, they're just useless for 4 or 5 corners, depending on what part of the track you're on and what track it is. So, but Simbo Dude is really impressing me here. Conzo, is it Conzo, sorry? Yep, Conzo in front of him and another World Series driver. He's not letting them go without a fight.
I think we're going to see a move from Conzo possibly here. He's just not quite close enough. Is he going to go for a late move onto the braking? No. He can be patient, and this is, well, Conzo is our World Series champion. He's a driver that he's got a lot of experience in frontal racing, and he'll be lining up this move and just waiting to know until he's certain that he can get it done. He's not the kind of guy that's just going to fling one up the inside for a out of impatience. So I think he's going to be lining up again, just following what Surtek did, maybe just learning a little, and trying to do the same as what Surtek did to Okan Kuzi to Surtek himself.
Yeah, so here they come out the Camel Straight, DRS open, slipstream. Well, let's jump on board. Let's have a look. Here we go.
Oh, big lag moment there.
I'm off board. I'm off board. Commentators curse. Don't know what happened there. Apologies, Konzo. Move didn't happen. big lag spike there. But that's one of these things with this game. It's annoying. Could be connection.
Konzo's going down the inside. That's bold.
Has he pulled it off on the exit?
It's a difficult corner to overtake. He's just run Kartsefe a little bit wide there in the exit, and he's got the move done. Forceful move, but that's tough but fair driving. Now it's on Slimbo Dude to see if he can get past. He's on the same tire compound as Surtek. He's actually on the inside line here. Ooh, touching that curb again. Everyone, you don't want to be on there, buddy. You really do not want to be touching that curb. He had a big moment there earlier on, almost had another one. But he's going to be lining up Surtek, I think, as well.
I believe you're right there. Again, that curb, as you described, you don't. Some of these curbs, I mean, coming away from Spa, that curb there, Baku, around Baku, Curly Willy, if you haven't driven there, I recommend anyone goes and gives it a go. If you want to see what a curb looks like, go there. Wow. But that curb reminds me of them. You cannot jump these curbs this year. You've really got to be patient and really steering sensitive. So guide it in, trust the car's going to stick. It does not need more steering angle than you think you need to put in. These cars are very sensitive this year. So coming around again though, let's see what Simbo Dude can do coming up Camel Straight again through Eau Rouge. Nice little run on the exit of turn 1 there. Dropping back though, Surtek must have some seriously good straight line speed. But coming up,
I think he's running fairly low wings in the DRS now, but just not gaining. I mean, again, this shows the difference between this game and F1 2016. If this were F1 2016, Simple Dude would be, you know, probably about 5 seconds down the road by now, just off the slipstream. But Surtek, he's got a setup that's clearly fast in a straight line. He's using that well to defend. We saw that Konzo had to go for a move in the middle sector. That might be what Slimbo Dude has to do here to get past. He might have to get a little bit inventive, because, you know, Surtek, he's just so fast on those straights, it's hard to get past.
Ooh, he's trying to put him out of position here. Coming off pull on, no. So Surtek coming back across the racing line, all fair and war and that, but I believe, as you pointed out, Surtek, well, Simbo Dude's got the downforce. It looks like he might have 1 or 2 clicks more aero on his car. Definitely looks like if he can get past Surtek, he'd definitely be able to run away with this and possibly put a bit of pressure on Konzo up the road. But yeah, great showing from him. Just fitting in like it's a normal race. Good stuff. So one to keep an eye on for the guys, and that is interesting.
Oh, lost Valdemar, yeah. That's from
there.
E3, I believe. Yeah, I think he must have lost that through, whereabouts would that be? Blanchimont?
Yeah, I believe so, on the exit. So again, I would love to see his footage of that if we possibly could, because I haven't seen anyone lose it there, and the position of the car, it looks like one hell of a whack. Yeah,
it could just be getting a wheel on that curb. A lot of the inside curves at this track are, you know, it's such a high angle that you just touch them just a little bit. You know, we saw this earlier on. You just get one wheel on those and you're in a whole world of trouble.
You are indeed. Simbo Dude not really making much progress, so we'll have a skip through the order and see what's going on. How's the old RDB doing? Seems to be driving around on his own, down in 7th place there. Promoted with Valdemore's retirement of some sort, and now we've lost Emma Ortal. I wonder if I wonder what's going on. It might be the same as Spain, you know, as we keep touching on, curbs, grass, you get any type of dirt or try and take advantage of something. These curbs and in these cars, shall I say, will eat you alive. They won't tolerate it this season. It's all about the throttle, the torque going through the rear wheels. These cars are really digging into the curbs this year with the extra aero, so you've got to give the curbs a lot of respect. But going through the order, Bereavement in 9th, still going. Flick back, Lord JB down in 10th, one of our comms gentlemen from the comms team, so doing well fella, keeping them going, one of his favourite tracks.
Yeah, I think those two have had a couple of moments somewhere they've both done 2 pit stops so far, so that might be why they're a little further down. We still got our 2 leaders having not stopped, and the only other person who hasn't stopped is Okan Kuzi. Everybody else has stopped once.
Nice there, thanks very much for the info, Curly Wurly. Yeah, interesting, old Curly Wurly. In front of him is Calzo, down there in the Sauber, flying along, as Curly said, yet to stop on the soft compounds, along with Willow Wolves in second in the Ferrari. So, showing some good pace, because the next car behind is old Gonzo, who may look to put a lot of pressure on Willow Wolves on a set of ultra softs. So, nice bit of a testing the tyres, making notes as we go along, perks of the job and all that. But yeah, Willow Wolves, another standout driver, one of our reserves, come along, joined us last season. Give it a go. Good attempts throughout the reserve events last season. One driver that I'd say has got a lot of potential and hopefully gets a seat this year, but as we say, sometimes luck of the draw and all, but seats do come available. It's all about that. Playing the waiting game, and Curly Wurly, you're one of the drivers that come from the reserves to permanent, and is it worth the wait racing with Front Row Racing?
Yeah, definitely. And what I'd say as well is that, you know, you get a lot of really good racing in the reserves. I know that when I was particularly racing in the series reserves, that you know, some other really good drivers in there. You've always got somebody that you can have a good battle with. You know, and those are some really enjoyable races. So yeah, for those that are in the reserves and waiting for one of those seats to become available, the main piece of advice I'd give you is just, you know, enjoy doing the reserves races, and you know, just put in consistent performances. That's the main thing. You know, you don't necessarily need to be setting the world alight in terms of lap times, but it's just having those consistent races that show that, you know, when you actually get an opportunity in the main events, that you're going to be able to make the most of it, rather than, you know, sort of I mean, I guess I'm saying first to finish. You know, to finish first you have to finish, right? And for those drivers, just to show that they're consistent and can make it to the end and can make it in reasonable time. And if you do that for a few races, the teams will be interested in you.
Exactly right, Curly. You've done it, I've done it.
Konzo pull into the pits here, and he's put on a set of super softs. He'll be looking to go to the end from here. 10 laps or so, super softs will just about do that. So that should be his final stop. There's out front, I mean, Calzo, he's still going on those soft compound tires. Willow Wolves is still going on the soft compound tires, so they haven't stopped yet. They're definitely looking at a one stop.
Yeah, it just depends on what tyre we see them go on to. Safe money would say the super softs. Maybe one of them will push it to try and get the ultra softs and show us something different. But yeah, just to elaborate on what you said there, Curly Willy, I agree with you 100%. I said it when I was reserving, I said it when I've raced, I've said it all along. It's not about speed. Speed will come here. There's rules, regulations on how we race, which is on YouTube through our Front Row Racing rulebook, which can be found and attached, which will be moved to a pin post up at the top shortly, so our new reserves can all get to grips with the do's and don'ts and the rules around racing with us at Front Row Racing. But yep, hit the consistency, as Curly Willy said, hit the lap times, get better and better, get comfortable racing in your surroundings. Sometimes you will be called up to race against the World Series, or if you're in the WCR, the World Championship. And as Curly Willy found out, a man that's now got a permanent seat there, it's a tough place to be when you get there, either the reserves, from the reserves to the World Series or World Championship.
Yeah, as well, there are some advantages to being in the reserves, in that you can get some extra racing in, because you're always going to be able to race in the reserves. But if you do get a reserve spot in the championship or the series, and those do come around fairly often, you know, drivers missing races, there's always one rookie car seat available. You can actually get slightly more racing in than the full-time drivers. So yeah, there are some advantages to it.
That's very true there, and well put. Just to point out to the reserves that may be new and watch this back, or viewers that are watching, the Admin's rookie car is where we select one of the reserves that may not get a drive, may impress us, like to rotate up, and it's a chance for them to go wheel to wheel with absolutely no pressure. Obviously abide by the rules, but you're not pressured in, I'm taking this gentleman's seat and he's up there and it's a good, no, there's absolutely no pressure. So it's the way the admins before that there's been a changeover of hands, of course, thought it was a good way to bring drivers in and they could actually see at first hand what it was all about, and it worked last season. I believe you may have had the seat Curly Whirly once or twice. I actually didn't.
I didn't actually get it, no. But I had a couple of reserve spots in the team, so I had for most of the races I had a seat anyway. But I do know a couple of drivers that had the reserve seat, the rookie seat, and yeah, they definitely learned a lot from it.
Yeah, exactly that. One car there. Just for the admins to pick a driver, come along, out of the reserves. It works both in the World Championship and World Series, so there's always a chance you can get a drive. Don't just think you're just on display in these reserve events. You could be called up at any time.
We've had Willow Wolves in the pits. He's hopped on a set of super softs. Calzo is still going out the front on that set of softs. So I think Calzo might just be trying to extend it out to maybe go on a set of ultras at the end. But Willow Wolves, he's come back out in 4th place. And the drivers in front of him have all got to pit. So he's looking at a pretty good position right now. He's in 3rd, and somebody else has pitted, I think.
Yeah, that's good progress by there from Willow. Sort of a mid-driver on 2016. Maybe this is a game that suited his driving style better. It's one thing I found. Some people you wouldn't be used to flying along up there on 2016, as sure as hell there on 2017. But it's interesting all round. I mean, I can't wait to see the World Series go head-to-head, because we've got 6 teams that could win the Constructors this season to line up on that grid. That's not having a pop, because anything can happen, and we haven't seen all drivers yet, but down on paper it's going to be absolutely immense, or as James would say, epic.
Yeah, that league looks quite incredible. After seeing the full lineup, I think that's going to be a really tough league to be in. There's going to be a lot of drivers, I think, in there that would expect to be front runners and might find it, you know, almost hard to get in the points in there. So yeah, definitely I think the strongest season of the World Series that we've had. It was Serta Karatepe that was in the pits, and he did put on a set of super softs. He'll go to the end from here.
Thank you very much. Looking at the footage though, we've got a nice little situation brewing here. We've got Willow Wolves. Well, sorry, I'll start from the front. Simbo Dude in front of Willow Wolves with, I believe that to be Konzo in the Sauber. Trying to hunt down with Willow Wolves.
Making a move down the outside. He's incredibly late on the brakes. He's run very deep, actually, almost off the track there, as Simbo Dude has pulled into the pits. And now Konzo, he's looking to make a move on Willow after he's just gone too deep into the bus stop chicane. They're almost side by side into La Source. Konzo is just backing out a little bit there. He's trying to focus on this traction zone and then getting a good run on Willow down towards the Clum chicane. And yeah, this is what I was saying about Konzo earlier. He's a very patient driver. He will wait until he knows he can get past before making the move. He's lining up Willow now. He's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, he's going to pull to the inside. Willow's almost run him off the road there. That's maybe a little bit naughty from him. Taking the inside line, just a bit of a late move, but Konzo, he's still trying to work his way past through this middle sector. I think he's trying to line him up for a similar move like he did on Certec. We'll see if he goes for it. He's pulling to the inside, and he is going to go for it late on the brakes. There's a bit of contact between the two drivers. Konzo has got the move just about done, has he? Yeah, I think he has. He's through. Bit of a bold move, but yeah, I think it was on there.
No, I'd have to. I've got to say something now. Yesterday I was catching Jamie James weaving and a few drivers being a bit naughty, and poor old Willow Wolves, I was on board with him on board with Konzo when that squeeze happened. So I'd say the move was fair. Come back, tit for tat. As long as the driver don't end up in the wall, I believe if one driver gets the elbows out, the other one should as well. I believe we had a close call Curly Whirly, and I believe going into the championship we'll both have our elbows out against one another this year.
Hopefully so.
See how it goes when we get there. But yeah, nicely done there, and it's good to see. And Willow Wolves being up against the experience of Konzo.
Yeah, it's Calzo in the pit and out, and he's on a set of ultra softs, and he is just sailing off into the distance. I think unless he puts it in a wall somewhere, he's got this one sorted. But he's managed to take those soft tires 15 laps or so. So yeah, pop that down in your notebook, because that's a pretty long stint on those.
Thank you very much. I will do that right now. This is interesting. One thing I'm noticing is old Calzo. His brother's behind him, they're teammates. Calzo did this yesterday. Um, if anyone wants a tip for the championship at the moment, it's only pre-season testing, of course. There's your man in that Sauber right now on your screen. He is looking pretty damn handy. So be interesting to see how that battle progresses throughout the season between him and his brother.
Yeah, he's one of those drivers that joined halfway through the season, last season, and you know, he started off pretty quick and just got better and better as the season went on. So he's definitely somebody that's going to be looking at that World Series title this year and thinking that he's got a pretty good shot at it. Obviously his brother, you know, being the reigning champion there, I think Calzo would quite like to beat him to that.
I think you might be right there. I don't know why, but yeah.
You know, obviously, I mean, you know, everybody wants to win it, but especially when it's your brother that you'd be taking the title off of, might just make it a little sweeter.
Oh yes, that would put the icing on my cake if I was in that situation. But no, it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's some fresh faces in there, the likes of Caribbean Crush, Two's Moose. I mean, we could probably reel the list off and talk about it all day, Curly Willy, until the racing actually starts because it looks so strong. But yeah, guys, this is Front Row Racing. You can find us on the Facebook page. That's where our home is. And if you feel like coming and giving this a go, the reserve events is where you will start. Again, the likes of Calzo, Conzo may not be here, but what we will look to do with the World Series this year is open up seats to the World Series drivers for the reserve event if spaces are available, because we do it with the World Championship. However, we will have to rotate that up, or we will probably get some nasty messages off some of the drivers if we don't. But yeah, come along, give it a go, send us a message, and if you're up for it, we'll reply, see what you want to do, assists or no assists, again, and we'll put your name forward. What's the worst that can happen? You come along, don't like it, walk away. If you like it, you'll probably get a taste for it. And yeah, the drivers here are very fair, very fast, and I'm looking forward to my season. It's doing my head in. We ain't on track now racing, Curly.
Yeah, I know, I'm looking forward to it as well, quite a lot. Slimbo Dude has just had a moment at the bus stop chicane, and he's just lost out quite a lot of time and also a position to Okan Kuzi, who has put on a set of super soft since we last saw him. So I think these two will probably battle just about to the end.
Yeah, I just jumped back to them, and as they seem quite close on track, we'll follow them. I don't believe there's anything else going on track at present. If Curly Willy, when he gets a moment, I'll have a quick flick through. But again, we've got a new driver here who's, I can't find much of a fault by the odd off and whatnot. It's looking quite solid, doing a good job. So one to keep an eye on as these events go on, and hopefully these two can give us a bit of an entertaining show towards the end. But it looks like Simbo Dude's softs may have just gone off, or he has a problem. Maybe damage, who knows, but
could possibly be. I didn't see him in a wall, but he might have been in one. I just caught him as he was recovering back onto the track, so that might well be the case. The gaps in the field are quite large at the moment. We've lost a few drivers, and I think as well something we'll see on this game, on F1 2016, with how strong the slipstream and the DRS were, oftentimes what you'd find is the pack would stay quite close together, whereas here it's much easier to pull away from other drivers than it was in the previous game. So I think once we get into the actual season, we'll begin to see we'll see more sort of drawn out races and smaller battles compared to the sort of large slipstream trains that we had on the previous game.
I'd agree with that 100%. Simbo Dude into the pits. Yep, it's confirmed. Front wing damage, lost the end plate and all the little gubbits along the top. So jumped on board with him, and as you could see, any damage to that front wing, he tries coming off the right hander towards the back straight, and nothing. He had nothing on turning. So interesting on how the aerodynamics work with damage on this game compared to the last one, because on 2016 you could get away with minor damage, medium, track dependent. This game you just lose tenth, more tenths depending on how much damage you got. So yeah, a little bit of a note there for you, and you've seen it on the footage as well, guys. So interesting on how the season will work with the damage model when the drivers hit the track and go hell for leather when we get round one underway.
Yeah, he's just come out of the pits just ahead of Conrees, who's another new driver. Both of these guys have done 3 pit stops each now, which is I think a lot more than they would have been planning. I think they've been in the wars a little bit, but Yeah, Con Reese has had a pretty quiet race, I think, other than that. It's just over a minute off the lead of Calzo, so yeah, it's a new game. Drivers will be, you know, obviously you want to come on and do well, but also drivers will be looking to kind of push the limits of the car and seeing what's possible. We're still in that phase where the game is pretty new, and you know, all the time you're just kind of pushing to see what's actually possible in these cars. And yeah, I think some of the drivers who've been in the pits, you know, 2-3 times today may well be, well, that might just be a part of it, just pushing a little bit too hard and making those mistakes.
Yeah, it could well be there. Yeah, as we brought up earlier in the show, it's a case of what Codemasters have done with the actual handling model, gameplay, how the tyres work, etc. is brilliant, because push too hard, you overheat the tyres, and then wear becomes more and more and more and more, and bringing them back down to their working range is so difficult. Once you're out of it, there's no coming back this time. So it'd be interesting. Nice little touches throughout, but again, it's the basics. Got to get the basics right, guys. I mean, when you can't go wheel to wheel, there's a problem. But hopefully next patch we'll see what happens here. But staying on board with Con Reese, as Curly Willy was touching on there, we actually had the chance to speak to this gentleman before this event, and he was a little bit worried about his pace. I think he's done a pretty damn good job, because the one thing he was advised to do, just stay consistent on this game, and still going, pretty damn good job. Kept that out the wall, a little bit of a moment there at the top of Eau Rouge, but yeah, good stuff there. So it's nice to see some fresh faces here. I was a fresh face at the start of the 2016 game, and it don't take long to get a permanent seat if the opportunity's there, guys. So keep doing what you're doing, enjoy yourself, and relax. Learn how to go wheel to wheel with these guys. Again, because when the World Series and a seat does come up, it will be those guys you're going against. Sorry guys, I've just had a weird moment of lag there, and the camera changed on me.
I got that as well, actually. But yeah, just looking at the lap times for Con Reese here, he's lapping in the low 49s at the moment, 49.1 and a 49.0. Just looking at, you know, comparing that to the other drivers on the grid, he's a little bit quicker than, say, Will Wolves at the moment. So yeah, I mean, the pace looks good. It looks as if it's there. Just needs to have a few less errors. I think at the start of the race he had a couple of offs, and yeah, we'll be getting some good results. The pace is looking pretty strong.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good as I'm watching Lord JB absolutely attack that curb we don't like. He got away with it though, fair play.
I don't want to put on yet.
Yeah, I don't think he's liking this too much. I don't know how long he's been on his ultras, but give the gentleman some camera time. Looking quite good, stable, but I think it's this season's going to be more about consistency than anything else, because you can be as fast as you want. Consistency and timing of strategy in this game is absolutely crucial, because as we've seen, overtakes are non-existent unless you get one hell of a run out of a corner before the competitor in front makes a mistake. So I'm absolutely looking forward to when Codemasters get this right and we can go racing. But 3 laps to go, I believe. Highs, lows. I actually haven't seen...
Calzo's in the pits, actually.
Ooh,
he's
okay.
putting on some more ultra softs. I think he might be going for fastest lap here. And I think he's just going to get overtaken by his brother, possibly. Just leaving the pits. No, he's just out in front of him. So yeah, Calzo had a full pit stops advantage there, and I think he may well go for a fastest lap now. Calzo just a couple seconds down the road from him.
Yeah, I think that may have just ticked off his brother. First argument brewing, possibly. How the hell did you do that? And where's your pace come from? But I'm liking the looks of this. Nicely heated up. But again, Calzo may have gone for the strategy you touched upon, the 2 stops, which... interesting. Around Spa looks a bit quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a sort of required 2 stop. I mean, he'd only done about 4 laps on those ultra softs, but yeah, we'll see what kind of lap time he ends up with at the end of the end of the race.
Well, if he don't get fastest lap, I'll eat my hat. How's that? Right, let's have a flick through the order. We've got quite a lot of the, well, no, it's half and half. There's a few reserves here. Con Reese, again, Simbo dude, how we doing after the pit stop in 6th? Great start, little mistake, cost him some time there and a good finishing position, but great job nonetheless. Ukanuzi up in 5th place there, so looking quite good again. I believe he joined us last season and done a few reserve events, possibly actually took part in World Championship event, I'm unsure though. But again, consistency seems to be the key. Keep it out of the wall, and I remember this guy at the start having a few moments, dropping all the way from 4th down to 7th or 8th, and now he's sat up in 5th, being consistent, doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, interesting strategy differences here. He's a few seconds behind Karatepe. Karatepe doing the 2-stop, Okankuzi on the 1-stop. So yeah, just interesting to see how that's played out. He went just about as far as Calzo into the race. He actually did 15 laps on those softs, but then put on the super softs at the end. So just a little difference in strategy between those two. Similar to Willow Wolves, who also put on the super softs. However, he stopped several laps earlier. So yeah, I mean, clearly from what we're seeing, 15, 16 laps out of a set of softs, pretty good on the tire wear.
Oh, got to cut you off, Curly. The brothers are at it. The brothers are at it now. I'm not joking. Somehow, Konzo has caught up with Calzo. Calzo is not having a good time with this. This could be interesting. So here we go, guys. First taste of what possibly to come throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely look forward to these two battling in the in this series this season. I think everybody's looking forward to seeing that as teammates. Interesting to see how they get on as teammates. Konzo was with Hindle last season. They had a phenomenal championship fight all the way to the final race. Ended in a bit of controversy, but yeah, it'll be great to see these two. You know, especially in the field, the World Series this season, they're going to have to work together and work together well if they want to have a chance at that constructor style.
Oh yes, it's one of those ones. Do you be selfish and go for the individual championship, or do you defend what's split now? Konzo, Calzo.
I think Calzo's sandbagging a wee bit here. He's lifted off and breaking through Blanchimont. So yeah, I think he's just trying to get a little bit of showboat on in front of his brother. They're gonna cross the line
yeah. Brotherly love there.
Good one too for those guys. Willow Wolves in the Ferrari coming home in a solid P3. He's had some pretty good lap times and a really good strategy, almost losing the rear out of the final corner there. It's a good result for him. Surtek Karatepe back in 4th. He's had a pretty interesting race, a lot of battling in the middle with Konzo and Simbo Dude. He's done well to hold on to his position. It turned out to be crucial. So P4 for him.
Yep. Ukanuzi coming up for 5th place there. Looking back though at Simbo Dude's got a little way to go before we come up to the finish line. Looking good though for a 6th place finish in his first event. So fair play, lads, you done well, and hope to see you back to participate in more and show us what you got, because that start, that battle, I'm looking forward to more of that. Heading back to Comries, he may
I think he's run out of fuel.
Yeah.
I think he's out of fuel. That's another thing in this game, is that the cars are a lot more fuel hungry than they were on F1 2016. It used to be very easy to save fuel, whereas in this game you've really got to put work into it to save it. So he's clearly been just a little bit too aggressive on that fuel counter.
And a little bit lucky there, because a man not out of fuel but his fuel lights flashing was Lord JB still flying, so ran out of fuel at the right time there, lucky boy. But no, congrats to him. Lord JB, I believe, no, not bringing up the rear, we got RDB still running, we have, nope, I believe that is it.
RDB was retired, and that was a ghost car.
So there you go, that concludes test session 2. The one thing I did notice though, Curly Willy, was not too many bugs.
Yeah, we seem to do alright there, although I guess we'll hear from the drivers if they've had anything untoward going on their sites. But yeah, it seemed to be fewer issues in that race than the one we had last night. As we look at the podium, I think it's fantastic that they brought this into online.
Oh yeah, it's lovely to see it back. It was there with us in games before, but yeah, I like to see this back, and adding character faces makes it a little bit different than seeing the usual normal Hamilton face, Vettel face, etc. It's nice to see Codemasters doing something. Again, I appreciate this factor. I don't know about you, Curly, it's nice to see it back.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see. So final rundown of the grid. Calzo taking the win here in Spa. Konzo getting maybe a little bit artificially close to him there at the end. Willow Wolves in third, Sertec Karatepe in fourth, Okan Kuzi finishing in fifth, Slimbo Dude I think on his debut in sixth, with Con Reese just behind him in seventh, and then Lord JB was the final one I think to finish in eighth, and then we had RDB. He was, I think that was a ghost car for him, and our only other finisher was Bereavement, who dropped a lap down after having a couple of incidents during the race, having to make a few extra pit stops.
Yeah, interesting race all round. It's nice to see a few non-finishers there, but hope to see some of them back. And Paul Farber, give it a go, fella. Didn't work out. Congrats on your attempt, though. So, if Curly Whirly, we could have the reserve finishers, which were Willow Wolves, Okan Uzi, and Simbo Dude.
Yeah, I'll just get the invites sorted for those guys now.
Yep, thank you very much. It'd be interesting to, I think they may, some of them may be unsure if we do an after interview, but I did put up on a post, guys, that we would grab you for a quick chat and see how your race went. Other than that, it's...
If you have them on your friends list, could you suggest them?
No worries, apologies for the interruption, guys. 2 seconds and we will be back. There we go, guys. Apologies about that. We're now back. Hopefully Curly Whirly has sent the invites and we will get to hear from these drivers briefly on how their race went. Have we had any luck, Curly Whirly? Oh, we got one.
We've got Con in at the moment, waiting on Willow and Okan Kuzi. Okay, Con, if you could set your microphone to allow to be shared, that would be fantastic.
Yep, once you've done that, Conreese, if you can just hold off, we'll just see how your race went, introduce yourself, and we'll go from there, fella. How are we looking, Curly? Looks like they don't want to talk to us today.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where they've gone. They've got the invites, so we'll see if they show up.
Hello, who was that?
That is our one podium sitter at the moment, Con Reese.
Con
the other one has
Reese.
made it up this far.
Yep, hello Con. Are you there, my good man? Not having much luck. Con Reese, if you can hear me, feel free to turn your mic on. Just make sure it's allowed to share so the viewers can hear you, because we are live with a broadcast. Nope. Okay. The other two have not come in, Curly Willy.
Okay, we could invite Conzo and Calzo if you want, or we can finish things up here.
We'll stick with Conreese this evening. We had the pleasure of Calzo yesterday, and I'm not really in the mood to get between the two brothers this evening. So, is that you, Connor? Are you with us? Are you with us, Conreese?
I was hearing some microphone movement, but
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you. Can you hear us, Conreese? No, we might be having some technical difficulties this evening, guys. So what we'll do is we will close up now. It's a little bit early. Normally we like to do the podium interviews from a test session or our actual events like normal, but unfortunately there seems to be a few technical difficulties. So Curly Willy, is there anything you'd like to finish up with before we close the show?
Just if anybody's watching wants to get involved, make sure you check out Front Row Racing on Facebook. You can also check out the YouTube channel. Just type in Front Row Racing for some of the previous races. See what happened on F1 2016. Get yourselves up to date. And yeah, I think that's just about it.
That's superb. There, as Curly Willy said, you can find us on Facebook. We have a page there. Send us a message if you're interested in joining, and we will get back to you. And hopefully, we'll see you at one of our reserve events soon. So, I've been coming to get you 85, which I will be known as on account shortly FRR C2GY 85. I will be one of the admins working through this season once we get our game up and running. So, it's been a pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's been a pleasure with working with Curly Willy. We hope to see him again on comms soon. Good night. Good luck on your ventures with the game, and we will catch you next week for our next test session unless Codemasters release a patch before that. Good night. God bless.